pages of the Red Diaries rarely move in straight lines. Most entries arrive fragmented, dreams stacked beside dreams, voices speaking over one another, each page recording a different traveler, wandering the same interior world. What we recover are not narratives, but testimonials, small glimpses from individuals who briefly crossed the dreaming plains and returned with something they could barely describe. Tonight we open several of those fragments, not because they belong together, but because they echo. I'm John M., and welcome to Doomdeed, where we discover the lost pages of dreams, journals, and allow the mind to run. The first recovered page of the evening is dated January 12th. The diarist describes herself working in her grandmother's shop. Everything around her appears slightly older than it should be. Dust clings to shelves. The light carries the amber tint of another century. Her grandmother is dressed in a Victorian gown. Besides her sits her dog, Madeline, but the voice emerges not from her grandmother, but the dog itself. It's her grandmother's voice. Madeline, the dog, begins telling a story. Long ago, she says, there was a man who lived in their town, a troublesome figure whose crimes were so disturbing that no prison could hold him, nor grave would accept him. So the people of the town chose a different punishment. They threw him into the sky. There he remained suspended amongst the constellations, his body frozen in the cold geometry of the heavens. There he remains till this day, suspended amongst the constellations, his body frozen in the cold geometry of the heavens. To make certain he never returned, the pantheon, as to say the constellations, sealed his place in the stars with scorpions, creatures to sting his forever cosmic flesh, forever and ever. The diarist asks a simple question. Why is his chest open? Madeline, still speaking with her grandmother's voice, whispers something about a wound, a gash, something about the legs matching the ugliness inside of him. The dream ends there, but the page is marked with the curious note in the margin. Punishment does not always remove a thing. Sometimes it preserves it. The second fragment concerns a dreamer identified only as Aaron. Aaron wakes inside darkness, not the quiet darkness of sleep, but something heavier, something that feels almost incorrect. Instinctively, he speaks what the entry calls his magic word. In a rather unusual calligraphic language, we see a series of S's, patterns. If one were to attempt these patterns and S's, we may hear or something of the sort. The word allows him to run. As he runs, the diary notes a strange sound filling the space around him. The sound follows him as he outruns the dark, sprinting towards a faint glow somewhere ahead. Eventually, he reaches it. At the center of the light, he finds an enchanted forest, alive with strange woodland inhabitants. Animals that walk upright, creatures that speak, entire communities of woodland figures gathered beneath the trees. They welcome him warmly, introducing him to its many inhabitants, and everywhere they go, the creatures are singing. At first, the singing is beautiful, then constant, then unbearable. Aaron finally shouts for them to stop. The singing ceases instantly. The silence that follows is worse. From somewhere deeper in the forest, a loud moans, echoes, and vibrates throughout the trees. A man dressed in a captain's uniform emerges from the shadow of the woods. He begins speaking quietly about the things that live beneath the forest floor. Creatures that feed on something very particular. Not bodies, names. Destroyed names, the captain calls them. When the captain asks Aaron for his name, the diary records a strange pause. Aaron cannot answer. He cannot tell whether he's forgotten it or if fear has taken it from him. He again begins to run back into the darkness. The last thing he remembers before waking is a massive serpentine creature opening its glowing mouth somewhere behind him. Her dream begins with three figures standing before her. They resemble sisters, but instead of faces, each one has a softly glowing light bulb where their head should be. The sisters tell Judith she must forgive someone. We are never told who this someone is. Until she does, they cannot give her what they call the token of forgetfulness. Judith says she cannot even look at the memory clearly. It feels like staring through a window. She refuses to approach. The sisters remind her of something simple. Words are only words, they say. At that moment, two dogs arrive. They introduce themselves loudly as the dogs of wrath. They urge Judith to break a lamp that's inside the house. Inside the lamp, they say, is a coin. Their coin of appreciation. Judith hesitates. The sisters watch quietly. They explain that if Judith chooses forgiveness, she can become one of them again. She can leave behind the form she currently inhabits, a body she describes in the diary as bronze. They miss her. The final line of the entry reads, "I want to go home." A horse wandering through endless darkness. You're beginning to see a pattern that darkness in dreams is often a threshold into how one enters this world. Darkness seems to be a gateway into the dreaming world itself. The horse runs but without direction, as though searching for something it cannot find. Suddenly, in the dark, the horse hears whispers. A castle, a whole castle, has summoned it. Not the physical castle itself, yet the castle's inhabitants. It is the rumors from a handmaid who informs her mistress that a strange white steed has been seen wandering the grounds, yet none of the castle's horses are white. The mistress recognizes the tails of the white horse immediately, realizing that it is the steed of her beloved who waits in the forest to love her at night. The horse finds the lovers and begins chasing them through the dark. As they run, the horse wonders about something unusual. Why do they flee? The horses now realize he is not running with them, but he's simply running behind them. Then the horse looks behind itself. Something is chasing them in the dark. We're not told how, but the lovers seem to escape the veils of either the castle or this monster, this deity that's chasing them in the dark, this thing of the many hands. Yet the horse is close behind the veils, behind the lovers, watching them vanish. The dream ends with the animal still running alone in the dark. What connects these fragments is not obvious. Different dreamers, different landscapes, different symbols, but a pattern emerges if you look long enough. Voices that do not belong to their bodies, names that vanish, objects that promise transformation. And always, somewhere behind the dreamer, something pursues. The Red Diaries suggest that dreams are not isolated events, they are crossings. Brief moments when the mind steps into a larger terrain and returns with whatever memory it can carry.